Throughout this course, we're going to learn how to develop QSAR model. In the last video, I showed that QSAR model is actually predicting toxicity, property, or activity of the chemical through the molecular structure. So how does it work? First, the structure was converted into the set of numbers. I mentioned it as a D1, D2, D3, which is short for descriptor. So descriptor is a mathematical interpretation of molecular structure. That's the definition in the textbook, and more practical definition is descriptors are any numerical values calculated from the given molecular structure. So we say it's descriptor because it describes the structural features. So in this example, I calculated 3 descriptors from the structure. So it can be, for example, molecular weight or partition coefficient or number of rotatable bonds. Rotatable bonds. Oh. So there are much more. So if you use software to calculate descriptors, maybe you can calculate more than 2,000 or 3,000. And then we select the important descriptors to develop the model. And then using these values, we use mathematical model to calculate the target value. In more practical way, these structures are represented in the different file format. Like it can be a source code, or maybe it can be a mol file or STF. So these structures are not just image like here, but it's these format, one of format to represent molecular structure, and these format is used to calculate descriptors, and then these descriptor values are inputted to the model. It can be machine learning or deep learning model, and then these calculate this target value. So these are the things going on. Last time we used Vega, and in the Vega we just input smart code and then get this value, but inside there is this process. So when smart code was inputted, internally descriptors were calculated, and then it gives this final endpoint we want to calculate through the model inside the program. So to show you briefly, here I have Vega. Here I just input any structure, this one, and then I clicked model here, and then I get a result, any result on the desktop. So here you see it says it's initiate the model. So first what it does is molecular descriptor calculation, and then this descriptor is used to run the model, and then we get the final result, which is a file. So these are the process going on inside the software. And so to do that, to develop the model, we prepare the data in this way. So what we are going to do is develop a QSAR model, which takes input as a molecular structure, and then output this endpoint. And these calculation process can be done if we have molecular structure file. So when we are working on the project to develop QSAR model, what we need to do is collect the structure, and not just the image, but this one of file format or this source code, and then Also, we need to find a label for the structure. So actually, there are many databases which just give a lot of structures. But what's important here is this endpoint. So this structure is labeled with this value. So this label data is really important. So when we have the data, it should have structure information. If in some case there are no source code, but at least they mention the name or cast number or other ID that that we can recognize we can identify the structure. So it's good if we have a smart code, but if not, we should at least have these one of these information to identify the molecule. And then with this, then we can find the structure information based on this ID, and then these label must be paired together with this data. So we need this list of compounds with all these labels for each structure. So these are the data we need.